All right, so as you already know, Expedition 33 is really taking the entire gaming world by storm, and rightfully so. You know, 1 million copies in 72 hours, one of the highest rated games in Metacritic as far as user score. This game is actually fire, dude. The soundtrack is amazing. The art style is really cool. The combat system is on point. And usually I'm not one for turn-based Japanese JRPGs because I used to be really into them in like the mid to late 80s and 90s, and with Phantasy Star because I was a big Sega head, right? And I started with Phantasy Star 1 on the Master System, and that came out, I believe, in 86, 87. I'm not sure, but in 89, Phantasy Star 2 came out, and let me tell you, that was like an 80-hour campaign, and it came with a big old fat booklet with a bunch of maps and trivias and items, everything that we take for granted nowadays because everything is online. And I remember me and my friend Bobby, dude, man, it was just so great, dude. 89 and 90, like we grinded through that game like one summer. It was like almost every night and every weekend whenever we had a chance after school. And this game is kind of giving me those Phantasy Star vibes because if you see the North American cover art for Phantasy Star 2 on the Sega Genesis, they had Rolf and Nay on the cover, and those are the main protagonists of the game, and you actually go all the way to the end, right? And then something happens. I'm not going to spoil it. Come on now. It's been like 30-something years, 35, 36 years, okay? Nay dies at the end. Everybody knows this. But then Phantasy Star went on to do a lot of entries in the series. I believe like a year later, 90, 91 maybe, Phantasy Star 3 came out, and I bought that game, but I couldn't get into it because I think that I kind of got over turn-based mechanics, right? I was like into many, many different other games for the Sega Genesis, Revenge of Shinobi 3, E-SWAT, so many other, Streets of Rage. I mean, how can you go wrong with that, right? And then I kind of got out of that JRPG phase, and until this came along, and you know, I never got into Final Fantasy because Phantasy Star was my jam, so they just competed with each other, and I just missed out on 30 plus years of that franchise. And then I see this game come along, and I saw it like many months ago when it was first debuted and announced, and I'm like, man, that really looks interesting. Like the art style really looks interesting, but I never knew, and nobody had any idea of what this game entailed. And man, it is just vast. Everything from the presentation to the fashion to the art style to the music, even the combat. The combat is on point. And you know, usually with turn-based combat systems and mechanics in games, it's really you just sitting there waiting for something to happen, but it's very dynamic and you have control with the dodges and the parry systems and the counterattacks. And I'm really liking this. The only thing that I don't like is, you know, it's Unreal Engine 5, and I'm having the same problem with Oblivion, remastered. The game runs like ass. There was like a 300 plus meg update today for Expedition 33, and I'm hoping that fixed some of the performance issues. But until then, I'm going to have to run a -DX11 entry into the properties of the game on Steam. And man, there are some scenes and some stages where it does run like crap because I'm running DX11. Because if I don't, the game crashes on me every 5 to 10 minutes on point. Like you can actually count on that 100%. And it's very frustrating because I really want to enjoy this game, and the small time that I have to enjoy it before it crashes, it's wonderful. But now that I'm running it under DX11, it runs fine. It's just that some of the stages run, I was down to like 14 frames per second, dude, on a 5070 Ti. It's like, come on, dude. So I reached out to the developers and I asked them if there were any patch notes for today's update, and sure enough, there was. But this game is just phenomenal. And it's not that it's only the developers that are now the sweethearts of the industry, but it's also the publishers, Kepler Interactive. I'm going to do a separate video on that because if you don't know, there's a lot of shit happening behind the scenes in the world of like publishers. And Kepler Interactive, which is the people behind who are publishing Expedition 33, they're made up of like former devs who teamed up with like 7 other devs that made up Kepler Interactive, and they got back in 2021 like $150 million raise from NetEase. So there's a lot of Chinese these money behind all these new publishers, and they're finding developers that are extremely passionate about their artwork, extremely passionate about their vision, and you're seeing it right now. And so there is a resurgence. Now, let's try to separate and do our best to separate developer from publisher. And we all know that the modern day North American West publishers, we know what they're all about. But when we eagle eye, 40-foot, 1,000-foot focus, there's a lot of shit happening behind the scenes. And these nouveau riche publishers are finding sweetheart, super talented, super based developers that just want to make great games, agenda-free ideologies. They want to go back to the basics, and this is one of the reasons why I'm really enjoying this game, man. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe, comment, rate, like, share, do whatever you got to do. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.